Hi, my name's Sean with Desert Mountain Healing. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today again. We're going to be having a conversation with a couple of moms, with Kelly and Viviana, about the loss of a family member due to drug addiction. Fentanyl has taken over like crazy. Now there's even a new drug that's starting to show up, which Narcan can't even reverse. And the pain that families feel from this loss is a real, true pain. And we want to kind of have a couple of ladies be able to talk about what that feels like. Okay. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. And I know you wanted to talk a little bit about a group that you're affiliated with, HHC. And why don't you go ahead and tell us a little.
Thank you, Sean. Yes, Viviana and I are volunteers for HAC, which stands for Healing in Our Community. Healing Addiction in Our Community. It's a nonprofit that was founded in 2010, and the goal of HAC is to raise awareness of the drug addiction, substance use disorder, and how it affects the families in our community. We do that by speaking at schools and different events. We also man tables at events, passing out literature, hopefully allowing people to use us as a resource for help.
Thank you. And Viviana, you want to talk about Serenity Mesa?
Hi, I'm Viviana, and I'm a fairly new volunteer with Serenity Mesa. So I'm just going to read a little bit about it. Serenity Mesa, it provides transitional living services for young people ages 14 to 21 who are struggling with a substance abuse disorder or alcohol and or reoccurring disorder, and they may need help. It has a residential assistance program for youth ages 17 to 24 who are experiencing homelessness or are precariously housed. Serenity Mesa Recovery Center is a transitional living center located in Albuquerque. Their care includes 90 plus days of housing, individual and group therapy, life skills. They help them get their GED if needed, job preparation. They show them daily life skills, just things that they need to help, in their recovery process and help get them where they need to be.
Fantastic. Both of you have had your lives touched by fentanyl with family members, but why don't you give us a little background on fentanyl?
So fentanyl is currently the #1 killer of people 50 and under, more so than any other combined things, cancer, car accidents, all of that. It is a synthetic opioid that is 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times more potent than heroin. It is being brought into the United States via the cartel with the precursor chemicals supplied by China. I wanted to make sure I got this number right. 57.9 million fake pills and 13,400 pounds of fentanyl powder were seized in the United States in 2022. That is equivalent to 400 million lethal doses. They are putting this into your illicit drugs, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, even sometimes marijuana. But the biggest area that we're seeing that is causing so many deaths is the fake pills. And these are pills that are pressed with the fentanyl to look exactly like oxycodone, Percocet, Xanax, and Adderall. 47% of the pills that were seized and tested last year had lethal doses of fentanyl. In the past 3 years, enough has been seized to kill every person in the United States. It's 2 milligrams is a lethal dose, depending on your size, weight, and your immunity to if you've been using the drug or not. So I think that it's really important that we educate people to understand that this is not a problem just for people who suffer from substance use disorder. Many, many, many of these people who are dying are taking a pill that they thought was a pain pill or an Adderall. There are a lot of first-time users who are trying ecstasy at a party, and it kills them instantly. It's a sedative. It lowers the heart rate, and you basically, your body shuts down. So that's why we're trying very much to get the information disseminated correctly wherever we can about the problem.
Thank you, Kelly. And I know you've had a family member, a son named William, who you lost to a fentanyl overdose. Is that correct?
It was a fentanyl poisoning.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Viviana, I know you lost your daughter to this fentanyl crisis that's going on. Would you care to share a little of your story with us?
Yes. In February of 2018, my daughter and I, along with Grace's best friend, we found her deceased in her apartment. She's 20 years old. In November of 2017, she told us that she was having a problem with fentanyl and she wanted to get clean. So we got her into a treatment, into an outpatient treatment program. And I really didn't understand fentanyl and the severity, or I hadn't even heard of fentanyl when she told me she was addicted to it in November of 2017. I had no clue what it was. She's the one that told me what it was, and she got clean. She was clean for a few months. So from November of 2017 to February of 2018, which is very quick and not very much time, she got clean. She relapsed one time. She didn't make it. And she was alone in her apartment. So even had somebody been home with her, her roommate, I don't know if my 4-foot, 10.5-inch daughter that weighed 100 pounds maybe would have been able to survive the amounts of fentanyl and carfentanil that were in her system. I believe she thought she was taking an oxy because she was struggling with oxys, but they were laced with fentanyl. I don't think she realized that this would have been her outcome. And had she known, I do not think she would have taken that pill for the last time. That one pill after being sober for 3 months or 4 months. She had dreams. She had goals. She was a C&M student. She wanted to become a social worker and help kids. Life has been very different for my family and I since she passed away. We've had to learn how to relive our lives without one of our main persons, our baby. She was the baby. I have 2 older children. I'm a single mom. So my older son and my older daughter, they helped me raise her in a sense. So losing her has been really hard for all of us, and picking up pieces has been very difficult. And I just try to bring awareness because I don't want any other family to go through what my family is going through. I don't want another mother to have to feel the pain that we feel. And I share her story in hopes that if it just changes just one person's life, if just one person can take from that, then I know she didn't die in vain. But it's hard. It's hard. Being vulnerable and sharing her story. It takes a lot of courage. It's taken me 5 years to be able to come out and talk about how my daughter died. But I'm not going to stay silent anymore. I refuse. Because one is one too many. And we as a community, we need to do better. We need to change. Something's got to change because we are losing a new generation of children.
Thank you. That was really emotional and powerful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So Kelly, if you would, why don't you share with us what it's been like to lose your son William to this horrific disease and crisis that's happening?
Gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. It took away from our family such a special person who was so loved. Austin died 2 weeks before his 26th birthday. He was a very kind-hearted and loving young man, always sticking up for the bullied or the underdog. He was a wonderful athlete. He played football, basketball, he ran track, baseball. His big passion was rugby, and he was tenacious. He was very good at it. Most people would tell you that he was a protector, and he was. He was very protective of people, even strangers. He did very well in school, but in his junior year, unfortunately, I had to divorce his father, and it just turned his life upside down. He quit sports. The drug use began. There was no random drug testing or any kind of accountability to a coach. And it increased very quickly. He barely graduated, and then he had enlisted in the Marines. So my hope was that this was a short-lived thing. He was just getting it out of his system, and he went to the Marines, and he did very, very well. He was a reservist, so he was in for a couple of years when potential promotion came up, and they did a random drug test. He tested positive for marijuana, and he was released from the Marines. It was devastating to his self-esteem, and the shame just took him down further. My son went through a lot of trauma in his life. My granddaughter and her mother were killed by a drunk driver when he was young, and he experienced that whole situation. He was at a party in Albuquerque where 3 guys came in and shot and killed the young man sitting next to my son, and he tried to save him. His Marine training kicked in, and he was able to get the gun away from one of the shooters, but he wasn't able to save the young man, and he died. And also testified against them in court. But it's I think, very much a PTSD situation that haunted him. And then shortly after that, his girlfriend overdosed and died. And Austin just seemed to be unreachable after that. I believe that's when he started using heroin. And he probably was doing that for about, I think, maybe 6 months. But he hid it from everybody. I knew he was thin. I was concerned that maybe he was using meth. But he did come to us and ask for help and, shared that he was addicted to heroin. I was stunned. I didn't know anything about heroin, and I had no idea how prevalent it was and how cheap it was. And I didn't know what to do to help him. So I did the best that I could, and we tried. And eventually he ended up moving to Michigan to get away from all of the influences here. And it was during that time that he detoxed himself and went to a rehab facility there. And he came out, he was doing great. He was helping run meetings, and he was trying to help other people get sober. He was very vocal about, his mistakes and his past. And then he got locked down in his apartment for COVID. And he was never really good alone. A so-called friend came over with beer, and he got drunk, and she left, and he ended up calling a dealer. And unfortunately for my son and for our family, it was 100% fentanyl. And my son died alone, halfway across the United States, sitting on his couch, listening to music with a needle in his arm. His older brother found him, and it began a journey of education. And all the I wish I would have, the what ifs, the whys, and you just don't get those kind of answers. I can tell you that I'm not the same person. I never will be that person again. And I try very hard for my son to be the mom that he loved. I have a beautiful daughter, 5 grandchildren that I am so blessed to be able to share my life with. But when I'm alone, it's just raw pain that only gets worse the more time passes. So I do this not for attention or sympathy, but because maybe someone will see this and see themselves in what I'm saying, and hopefully reach out and get help.
Absolutely. Wow. Both of your stories are so powerful, and I really appreciate you guys for sharing them with us. Again, if you have a family member who is struggling with addiction, don't hide that in the shadows. Bring it out into the light. Get them help. This pain of loss is something that no family should ever have to deal with because of a small white pill. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Sean.
Hi, my name is Tatiana with Desert Mountain Healing. Thanks for joining our channel today. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button.